In this demonstration, we're going to talk about how to create a tree. So the first thing that we want to do is create the cylinder, as we did in our ecosystem demonstration. We're going to start with the lowest LOD first and put on my edge to faces option so that you can see the number of faces. We're going to do 3, and we want only 2 segments to start with. And if you're not doing a palm tree, you're doing some type of tree that has branches growing up, make sure that you're working from photo reference so that you can get the most realistic type of tree that you're going for. Many times folks don't work from visual reference photographs, and they come up with trees that look very unusual. You can't really place those. So that said, we're going to convert our cylinder to editable poly. We're going to get the polygon subobject. We're going to open our graphite modeling tools, and we're going to go to the freeform tab, and right here is an icon called branches. It's a very fun tool to use. I need to click on the icon first. If I click on the polygon and draw out, you can see that it just brings out a very cool branch, but it's very poly heavy. And there's some settings down here that you can play with: minimum distance, a branch taper, so you can modify the settings. I have not found a really effective way to modify distance in the edge loop placement though. So I have seen that if you draw out quickly, it has edge loops that are further apart, and some trees come out this way, and then they come out this way and this way, and so you can get some really spiny looking branches that way, or you can get much more ethereal looking branches this way. But again, you want to work from photo reference so you get the types of branches and the type of growth that your specific tree is calling for. So yeah, that said, I'm going to continue to use the branches tool and come back when I have something that's reasonable in order to show you how to place leaves. What I'm going to do is show you quickly how to manage the edge loops within your branches so you can get the poly count down as quickly as possible. Right over here on your orthographic view, if you right click on that, you can say show statistics, and it will show that I have an enormous number of polygons here already, which is out of the question for a tree. What you're looking for when you're developing your trees for your level is, number one, they're the correct height. But if the trunk is 6 feet high and the branches are above that, then also keep in mind that 6 feet high is the typical height of a game camera, a game character. And so anything above that might be tuned out. When the camera is tuned, you may not be able to look up and see up into the trees. So you can go lighter on the polygons up here. If you're climbing those trees or looking up, then you'll want more polygons down around here, but the higher it goes, the less access, the further distance away from the game camera, the less polygons it needs. So conserve where you can. Alright, click on Edge Subobject to delete edge loops. You click on, let's get out of this tool first by deselecting it. Click on Edge, and you can actually, by holding the Control key down, you can select on a number of those at the same time. Then right here under the rollout, click Loop. It'll select the entire loop. And then under Graphite Modeling Tools, under Loops section, you have an icon here called Remove Loop. Just click on that and it actually removes all those loops out of there. Alright, so I've been working on this tree for just a little bit more, deleting edge loops, and with just 127 polys, we have a pretty decent looking structure here already, even though it's the lowest LOD so far. So you can also go back in here and delete out more, but for a basic structure we can move forward with this one. So let me quickly demonstrate how I would go ahead and put on some leaves. Top down view, go to create panel and give yourself a planar surface. I'm going to go really low poly. I always give myself an edge loop down the center. I'm going to probably go with maybe 3 on this because it represents a branch with a lot of leaves. And so once I get that, I'm going to, let's just close that for now. I'm going to reposition my pivot point. So what I've done, I've turned on my snap tool here where it has a 3 and a magnetic magnet symbol there, and I've gone to the hierarchy tab, and I have effect pivot only, and so now I'm just going to move that and snap it right to that vertice, the vertex right there. So now that I have that, I'm going to just go ahead and make sure that my generate mapping coordinates is on, and then I'm going to convert that to editable poly. Alright, once I have that done, I'm just going to put the texture map on really quickly so that that's already in place. So go ahead and add your texture map before you continue, and I'm just going to assume that I've done that. And now what I'm going to do is leave the snap on and I'm going to position that over on the tree. I'm just going to snap it right to the tree here. So wherever I have vertices located on the branches, it's going to snap right to it. However, what I'm going to do, I think, is leave myself one to work on. Oops. Let's leave the snap off for a moment. I'm holding my shift key down and I'm going to duplicate that object. I'm going to make them all instance objects, and I'll show you why. It's a very quick way to start. So again, snap that on there. I'm going to rotate that slightly. Now right up here, I'm going to turn my grid off so you can see better. Right up here under Tools, Array, I'm going to use the array to get these distributed quickly on there. I'm going to continue to use instance objects. I'm going to cut this down to maybe 4. I think that's plenty to get started with. And I'm going to use the rotate increments. I'm going to turn on, click on preview here so that I can see what I'm doing, and I'm going to just I don't know if you can see that very clearly. Just continue to click and drag those up until they're positioned in their initial position. I can also modify them slightly by playing with the X and the Y as well. Okay, once I have that, I can go in here and select them individually and rotate them as well. But it's just a really quick way to drop on some leaves. Now if I come down here, since they are all instanced objects, then I can select on that, I can select on verts, and then I can go in and further modify the positions of the verts and select my magnet tool. And you can see that if I do that, then I am actually modifying the structure of all of them at once. So you can get some really quick initial results with this. You can even go in here and use the bend tool. Where's that? Here we go. And I'm going to grab my gizmo here, angle. I can change the direction of that. I'll just use taper here so that you can see kind of how that works as well. Ooh, don't stretch too much. You end up looking really tweaked. Anyway, some other modifiers that you can use in order to get a really quick organic appearance to your objects. Let's see, where's twist? Here's twist. This is a fun one to use. You can really twist those up if you'd like. Alright, so I think that gives you enough to go on. You can get in here, the modifier list, and continue to play with different modifiers to get some different looks. Once you have that in place, you'll want to go ahead and select your base object, attach all your leaves, okay, and then you'll want to go ahead and copy your object, and then some very quick ways that you can continue to iterate on your low poly. We're going to get rid of the bottom here first, delete that, and then if you select on your edges, you can go and use the the graphite modeling tools in order to modify those. Flow Connect is a good one to use, as in previous tutorials. Make sure the auto ring is clicked, and you can use Flow Connect. And what that does is, as you can see, it throws in an edge loop all the way up that that object. And not only that, but it tends to try to preserve the shape that you're trying to create with the smoothing. And you can further modify that by right up here on the set flow spinners. You can click and drag that and get even more, try to get more of your shape in there. Alright, so very quick ways on how to up-res once you have your structure in place. And this is how you can very quickly get your additional LODs going on. Okay. Now if I clicked on one of these, you can also see, actually before I do that, I'll go ahead and give some shape to this trunk a little bit. That's probably a little too much. But if I click on one of these edges and do Flow Connect in that direction, that's a little tweaky, but you can further modify it with the spinners up here. And it gives you that edge loop that you're looking for, and continues to try to preserve the shape of the trunk. Right? The leaves right up here very quickly, the leaves turn brown because when you attach those, they take on the material ID of the tree. So what you want to do there is grab your element subobject and go ahead and select those. Okay. And then right down here under material ID, you just set that to 2. And then when you go in and assign your leaf object leaves, give that a color so you can see. Alright. And you can see that that is then preserved as a different texture, and you don't have to worry about it sharing a texture with the trunk. Okay, go ahead and make that sort of a reddish brown. Okay, there we go. Alright, and you're getting, very quickly you're getting your LODs in place for your tree. Should be done in no time. Alright, let me know if you need any more help.